All right, here we go. Let's check this out.
It's one of our planet's most iconic buildings, a symbol of the US, and the most secure family home in the world.
Welcome to the White House.
The White House. Has a special personality.
I just think that everything in the White House should be the
There
best.
she is.
I want to welcome all of you here.
1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
It's kind of crazy. The White House, where the president lives, has an actual, I don't know, it just seems weird that it has an actual address.
This
Like, you could
is
send a letter
the people's
to the-
house, for real.
To the White
But
House.
deep
just write
inside the White
address on
House, the
envelope.
president does a lot more than just eat, sleep, binge the B1M, and repeat.
Just me? Okay.
This is
Okay.
where some of the world's most consequential decisions are taken, and when you've got stuff like that going on, keeping unwanted people out and critical secrets in is the name of the game.
Probably the most
and one of the most secure buildings in the world.
the most secure buildings in the world.
It's one of the most secure places in the freaking world.
Over the centuries,
Really?
this simple neoclassical house has, threat by threat, quietly become one of the most subtly fortified sites in the world. There's everything from snipers and missiles to nuclear-proof bunkers, layer upon layer of fencing, and secret underground tunnels to protect the administration and the first family. You've got an office, home and event space above ground, and a secret labyrinth of operation centres and surveillance underneath.
It's soon to be a
This
ballroom.
place is world famous, yet still shrouded in mystery. So sit down, strap yourself in, and prepare to be fully briefed on the insane security of the White House.
Let's do this. I'm buckled in. Everybody buckle up. Buckle your seatbelts.
Now, before bringing you up to speed on White House security, we need to make sure you're suitably briefed on this site. We start way back in 1791 when the White House first started coming to life. Following a competition to design the mansion, Irish-born architect James Hoban saw his vision begin to take shape. As was sadly common at the time, much of the construction was carried out with the forced labour of enslaved people. Using sandstone, the White House had more than 100 rooms spread over 3 floors. It would of course go on to be changed and updated multiple times over the years. In 1814, the British started a fire here that grew so large.
And listen to the guy's voice that's talking about the video.
The globe
They
could be
always come
seen
back.
50 miles away.
They
Sorry
can't
about
stay
that.
away.
It was only heavy
better
rainfall
be.
that stopped the president's house from being flattened entirely. Notable updates throughout the 19th century included the addition of terraces to the east and west, and the iconic semicircular portico to the south. The famous West Wing was added in 1902 to create more office space. It was only meant to be temporary, but in 1909, President William Taft decided he wanted it doubled in size. Taft's real architectural legacy came with the construction of the Oval Office.
Taft made the Oval Office?
Inspired by the Blue Room inside the mansion, that's the original bit of the building, the oval shape dates back to President Washington's Philadelphia mansion, the original site of the US Capitol. And this room has been the main workspace of the president
Nothing
ever
going on
since.
in that brain.
Cementing the future of the West Wing, FDR expanded it again in 1934, from 15,000 up to 40,000 square feet. The East Wing, meanwhile, wasn't constructed until 1942, again to create more office space.
So it's almost like this building's
But by the late
changed a lot
1940s,
over
after
time.
standing for a century and a half, the White House was starting to show its age. America's most famous home was in danger of collapse. The beams supporting the structure were falling apart, and President Truman regularly complained of popping sounds and drafts. Then, in 1948, following reports it was actually unsafe to live in, the president left the White House. Everything, and I mean everything bar the outer walls, was completely rebuilt.
Holy
Deep
crap.
foundations were dug below the house, and the interior was fitted out with a new steel frame skeleton. More than 120 reinforced.
Now, imagine if Donald J. Trump today had to do this. He would be, oh my gosh, just for building a ballroom, he's been accosted in the news. Holy
concrete
crap.
columns were poured to a
That's
depth
a
of
project
25
right there.
feet to support the inner walls, and 2 new sub-basement levels were excavated. It wasn't until 1952 when Truman and his family finally moved back in to what is, aside from some renovations and tech upgrades, by and large the White House that we all know today.
It's cool they left the
big
exterior,
decisions
though.
are made at the White House every day, but the crucial daily maintenance of local infrastructure generally falls to local cities and councils. It can be a long and expensive process to make sure that the roads we use every day are up to scratch. Thankfully, today's video sponsor, Vialytics, are here to help.
Sponsor!
They're helping towns, cities and communities across the world improve road infrastructure whilst also saving money. And they're doing it with their intelligent road management system.
Ooh, that's pretty cool.
Now that might sound complicated, but it really couldn't be any easier. Using the Vialytics app, roads are constantly monitored by one of these mounted to the dashboard of any vehicle. And it can be any vehicle, literally, from a garbage truck to a bike. The app detects 15 different damage categories, from potholes to downed manhole
I think more
covers,
cities need to
and
use this
feeds
technology.
information
Holy
into
crap.
an interactive map that gives real-time status updates. It makes it easier than ever to act quickly on a problem. And it's all recorded in a privacy-compliant manner, with any faces blurred for your peace of mind. When a problem does arise, the Vialytics task management system lets you appoint someone to fix it
You don't know it,
with
but I just
just a
scratched
few
my eye.
clicks. Now, I've had a go at this myself. I've put it through its paces in my own car on the UK's pretty notorious road network. And honestly, it really is impressive stuff. To learn more about how Vialytics can save you time and money, click on the link in the description or visit vialytics.com. Now,
Seems like a weird
let's get
advertisement
back
for
to
like
the
a just
White House.
general population. Should be more of like a government focused.
Play solo.
And an ad.
After work. At your own pace. No.
Guy's got to make his money.
Now, on one hand, the White House is a ridiculously secure building full of mystery and international secrets. But on the other, we as the public are welcomed to apply to have a nosy round this grand old house. There are 132 rooms and what feels like a disproportionate 35 bathrooms. They're spread across 6 levels, a
That doesn't
2-storey
seem like a lot
basement,
of
the ground
bathrooms.
floor, first floor, second floor and third
That's actually
floor.
kind of
And
surprising.
it's all accessed using 8 staircases and 3 lifts. The structure has more than 400 doors, nearly 150 windows, and 28 fireplaces for those cold DC winters.
I wonder if they actually
For
work
those
still.
of you that can't make it out here for the tour, don't worry, because we're going to take you on one right now. We're starting over here in the 2-storey East Wing, where the office of the First
Which is no
Lady
longer
or
there.
First Gentleman is based. But dig down much, much deeper and
Whoa. Don't be doing that. There has never been a first gentleman. Stop being so politically correct. There's only been first ladies, so therefore it's okay to say first lady's office because there's never been a first gentleman.
you'll discover the Presidential Emergency Operations Centre,
God, I'm
or
so sick of this politically
PEOC.
correctness.
Built as a concrete air raid shelter
He's British
following the
after all.
attack
They
on
get,
Pearl Harbor,
they get
it's
arrested
fitted out
for
with
saying
everything you'd need to
poppycock
communicate
and
with the outside world. It's this
swizzle
complex where
watches.
then Vice President Dick Cheney and eventually President Bush were moved to on 9/11, and it's rumoured to be able to withstand a nuclear attack. In the iconic Executive Mansion, you'll find the staterooms spread across the ground and first floors, with the residence where the first family actually lives above that. A corridor connects the east and west wings, stretching all the way through the main house. And so, over to the West Wing. Along the ground floor, there are offices for the Secret Service and Homeland Security. The Navy mess is here too. Since 1951, the Navy's best culinary minds have catered for the White House. Next door is the famous Situation Room, which has just received a $50 million upgrade. It was first built following the Bay of Pigs invasion and was used for updates throughout the Vietnam War by Lyndon Johnson. It's from here that George W. Bush launched the Iraq War and where Barack Obama watched the Navy SEAL team raid against bin Laden. It's a lot more than just a room too. It's actually a 5,500 square foot network made up of various spaces. In fact, it used to be a bowling alley, but don't worry, that lane still exists, it's just been relocated. You can now find it sandwiched between a flower shop and the carpenter's shop underneath the north portico.
A flower shop?
On the first floor of the West Wing is the press briefing room, the original site of the indoor pool, the cabinet room, and of course the Oval
It's kind of
Office.
crazy we have the full
There's also
layout.
another 100 or so rooms for the Vice President and various other functions that
Not
we
that
haven't
anybody's
really
gonna
got time to go through now.
successfully
So,
make their
how
way
do you
through
keep
this.
all of this secure? It's fair to say that security at the White House has evolved over the years. Back in 1842, the author Charles Dickens visited the White House, and when nobody answered the door, he just let himself in. We would strongly recommend not doing that today. While as a viewer of the B1M, I personally trust your character, security staff can never be too sure. You can book ahead to tour the White House, but if you're planning a visit, requests have to be made 3 weeks in advance to allow for background checks. Everything from the grounds to the skies here is on permanent 24/7 watch. Any pilots trying to take an unplanned shortcut through Washington airspace will be promptly escorted away by military aircraft. Worse, they may be warned about the likelihood of an incoming missile. Short to medium-range surface-to-air missiles are stationed at key locations around Washington. They're ready to act at a moment's notice. It really is the most restricted patch of sky in the world. The nearest airport to the White House is Reagan National, about 4 miles away. Since 9/11, a flight-restricted zone has extended for 15 nautical miles around the airport, with strict controls over entering the airspace. There's also Prohibited Area 56, or P56. It's existed for 50 years and covers the White House, the National Mall, and the residence of the Vice President. Back on the ground, the best place to start is with the fence around the White
Vice President's residence is actually pretty sick.
House perimeter. It's simple, but very effective. In 2023, it was raised from 6.5 feet to 13 feet. Now, that might not sound too high, but altogether it's 3,500 feet of thick iron bars fitted with pressure sensors, anti-climb and anti-intrusion technology. Thanks to help from its deep concrete footings, it's also blast and ram-proof, a very far cry from the wooden fence that once stood here in the 1800s. A range of infrared cameras and a roof-mounted radar system highlight intruders to security services. The 150 windows are fitted with the strongest bulletproof glass on the planet. In 2011, several shots were fired at the White House from a semi-automatic rifle. None managed to penetrate the windows, but it was still a big moment in the history of this building. Now, protecting what's often called the People's House is a task given to the Secret Service. While it's not publicly known how many agents are stationed at the White House, we do know that at all hours, well over 1,000 officers are placed there and at key locations around DC. Groups of armed agents patrol the grounds, and a team of snipers keep watch from the roof of the Executive Mansion. And yet, with all those measures, there are still those who've tried their luck at a very ill-advised break-in. In 2014, before the fence was upgraded, a 2-year-old managed to squeeze through the bars to the north and delay a presidential address. How many lockdowns at ultra-secure government facilities had you caused by the age of 2? Of course, there have in fact been multiple more dramatic and even fatal attempts. Our unequivocal advice is please don't bother. Book a tour like everyone else, or just watch this video again.
One more ad for the boys in the back.
Conspiracies about the White House are a dime a dozen. It's no secret that the president's mansion is surrounded by exactly that. Secrets. From east to west, top to bottom, but most notably, down below, the tunnels. It's popular opinion that underneath the White House there's a system of passageways. Probably not quite like that. Here's what we do know for sure. There's a tunnel that leads down to the Presidential Emergency Operations Center. Then, between the East Wing and the Treasury Building, there's another 761-foot escape route. Less substantiated rumours include underground passages to the Pentagon, the Capitol Building, Blair House, and the residence of the Vice President. As you can see, the rumours of these tunnels really do stretch far and wide, quite literally. Unfortunately, any further information is well above our clearance level. The White House is a lot more than just a big and imposing mansion. It's steeped in history, a survivor of fires, plane crashes, and multiple wars. It's a place of history-altering decisions and family memories alike, an architecturally significant and world-renowned landmark. But even with its endless renovations and security upgrades, at its heart, James Hoburn's original White House still lives on. True. And with a new family moving in very soon, who knows what the next chapter of history might bring.
Oh my goodness. She's so brain dead.
This video was sponsored by Vialytics. You can learn more about that at the link
That was a good video. This shout out to this guy. The B1M with the big B1.